In this episode of The Bookie and the Better, we discuss NFL's best win in week number 9. We're going to drill down as far as we can to the NFC West, and NCAA football rankings are out, playoff implications, outrage, injustice, all coming up right now.
It's time for The Bookie and the Better Show, live from Baldini's Casino. Beat the Bookie. Make every bet count. Reno's #1 sports radio show is now on streaming platforms. Now, introducing The Bookie, Rob Kowalski, and the Bettors, Randy Wike and Nick Schulte.
Welcome to yet another episode of The Bookie and Better Show. I am your host, Robert Kowalski, joined once again Nick Schulte.
Hey.
Randy Wike's going to join us in a little bit, but for now, let's go ahead and do some of the things that I wanted to. And what better way to start off the show by actually taking a look at what in the world's happened here in the NFL. Wanted to take a look first off at some of the things from a betting perspective. Nick, favorites moved to 13-1 straight up, 10-4 against the spread this past week. Last 5 weeks, favorites are now 46, 26-1 against the spread. That's 64%.
Pretty good.
Playing the minuses.
Yeah.
And 57-16 straight up since October 1st. That is over 78%. I hope you've been hitting the minus button when I was gone last week.
Yeah, it's been some good and some bad. You know, a little bit of ugly.
We're going to take a look, of course, at your picks coming up in week number 10 and the previous results. Stay tuned. They're actually handicapping well, my friends. They really are.
We try.
They definitely do. Randy's going to join us in a little bit on the second half of this episode, but for today, let's go and take a look actually first at the NFC West. Nick, you know, the resting Niners got to see the spunky division rivals get a little bit bigger. The Rams pick up a big win in Seattle in overtime, and then the Arizona Cardinals are 5-4. Arizona Cardinals are 5-4 and in first place in this division after crushing the Bears in Glendale. I know you've got a couple of thoughts on that. Let's go ahead and actually start off with the Niners, the return of Christian McCaffrey. They're saying that he is going to finally get actual reps this coming weekend. What have you read? What are you anticipating here with their offense, at least?
Well, I know they opened the practice window, I believe, earlier this week, late last week on him. So, and I believe I saw an article yesterday that he was able to practice I believe it was Tuesday without any pain or injury. So things are looking good. Yeah, I'd expect him to see him back, and I definitely think the first game they're going to kind of maybe use him on a couple key plays, but I don't think he's going to be seeing the volume of reps until he's kind of out there back on the floor.
Over under total number of offensive snaps. I'm going to say over 10.5.
I'll say over 10.5 because I think McCaffrey's one of those dynamic players. Just having him on the field, you need to scheme of your defense. You need to scheme around him, right? So I think just having him out there simply as a decoy, so I would say over 10.5, but I don't think he's going to get very many touches.
Actual carries, or receptions in that front.
But we'll see what happens.
San Francisco, a 6-point favorite at the Book of Baldini's with a total 50. This game is in Tampa. We'll get to that, of course, in the latter part of the show.
I would just like to say, though, I mean, look at the last few seasons and the Niners, their records before and after bye weeks. And after bye weeks, they've been lights out. So
San Francisco has.
Yeah. So hopefully, I believe they went undefeated all the way to the Super Bowl last year after their bye week. So no, I'm hoping they can come back on that trend because I think NFC is definitely up for grabs right now. I mean, one would think it wouldn't be the Cardinals, but hey, it's football. Anything can happen.
Okay, now look, you've got to put on some kind of just be as clear-minded and don't rip your San Francisco Niners jersey all over the place here.
Hey now.
NFC West division odds right now. Okay. Seattle Seahawks, 10-1.
Okay.
Buying or selling?
I'll sell it.
Okay. LA Rams, plus 375 to win the division. Everything looking healthy.
I'd have to look at their remaining schedule, but I think that's in the realm of possibility that I would do a little more analysis before pulling the trigger on that one.
The Arizona Cardinals, as we mentioned, who are leading the division, Let's look at plus 250 to win the division. A game in front, a game in the bag over San Francisco. Buying or selling that price?
Selling it. I think they play the Niners one more time, I believe.
Yes,
so, and I do not see them winning twice. But
the 49ers are even money.
And that's because of the location, right? I mean, if you're actually looking at the record and
yes,
everything.
okay, that's fair, yes.
I mean, and you really should be getting a little plus money, say plus 150, 175. So we got the man, the myth, the legend.
Walk on in here, Randy Wike.
It was fabulous. He got some gal, one of our guests, a young gal, come over. She goes, "Oh, this is unbelievable." So I'll be on a 5.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Good, because we're rolling.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Technical difficulties here at the
Randy Wike joining us, as I mentioned. Welcome to the show, Randy Wike.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're here at the Book at Baldini's, and in the back of house, the hubbub is this absolutely incredible burger that's returned that I absolutely want to have a big bite out of when this episode is over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, and I just had a young lady out there, and we're doing a local news broadcast today, and unbelievable. I mean, think about this now. We've been, 4 days, over 400 orders of the awful. It's amazing. It's awful big, awful good.
How many of those 400 are yours?
I've had,
Let's say over under 10.5.
I've had 3. Thank you.
Randy, let's just jump right in here with you. I wanted to ask you, we talked a little bit about the NFC West, but in week number 9, the NFL's best win, I kind of had it whittled down right now. Baltimore added to its league-leading point total by beating Denver 41-10. Detroit beat their division rivals at Lambeau 24-14. Who had a better win of those two?
Well, and we talked about this a few weeks ago. Baltimore's schedule really favors them for the remainder of the
This
year.
goes back to
So,
August.
looking at the win this last week, I thought it was their best all-around performance, even though Derrick Henry didn't have 200 yards rushing. This team is for real. And you really got to look at it from the standpoint, they have everything. I think some of these other teams, the Commanders, and some of these teams are not going to be able to continue at the pace they are as we enter the second half of the season. But the Ravens have everything you need. And, I went out, I think, on the trade deadline and picked a couple of guys up again. Mm-hmm. So I think that was a big win for them. Now, coming back on 4 days, basically a practice time this week, really only 2 days of practice time on a short week. It'll be interesting to see how it goes with, basically an interdivisional game with the Bengals. But you got to like them right now, and they're basically manhandling teams. So that's why I say I think they had the biggest win when you look at week to week.
Nick, Detroit 7-1 went into Green Bay. Mm-hmm. They scored the Green Bay scored their points late, so they really had the game in hand very, very early. Which of those two games do you find most impressive?
I'm going to go to Detroit, going into Green Bay like that and coming out on top. So, but I also like to say another game that I thought was kind of I want to say a league changer, but just kind of put the league on notice, if you will, is the Kansas City Chiefs and DeAndre Hopkins. And the way that he came out, and now the Chiefs actually have somebody that can catch a pass. Look out, NFL. I think it's going to be another – I think you're going to see a three-peat.
Well, and here's the interesting thing back to your Detroit Lions-Green Bay game. It was the first game Jared Goff has played outside of an indoor stadium with rain, snow, 40-mile-an-hour rain.
Some kind of weather, right.
And, again, they were phenomenal. So, you look at these teams, and obviously, and I'm just bringing this up, if you do get a Detroit-Baltimore Raven game, could have a lot of points.
Oh, big time.
One of these teams cannot make it to the AFC. Choose the one that's not making it into the AFC Championship. Buffalo, Kansas City, or Baltimore. Randy.
Well, as much as I hate to say it, Buffalo. Again, right now, you got to look, as I just mentioned earlier, the schedule for the Baltimore Ravens is on their side for the second half of the season. These gaps of now they won't play again till a week from Sunday. As you enter that second half, I think with that team right now, if Derrick Henry stays, and again, we should emphasize, if Derrick Henry stays healthy, which gives them another kind of an element to that offense, so it's just not all Lamar. You've got to like the Ravens. You really do.
I would actually bet on that Derrick Henry stays healthy for the entire of the season. Nick, one team cannot make the AFC Championship game. Is it Kansas City, Buffalo, or Baltimore?
I'm going to go with Ravens. We've seen it time and time again. They get to the playoffs and they just can't win. Now, last year made a little stint, obviously picking up Henry, but my gut just says the Ravens. I think they're going to, first, second round of the playoffs, they're going to be thinking one game ahead.
I'm going to bookmark this episode for when we actually get into playoff time. This is going to be a fun thing to revisit.
And one thing to note, back to Kansas City. Kansas City, I think, has 5 games in the second half with teams that are currently 2-7.
Yeah.
So that's got to play into their favor a little bit.
I'm probably going to see a victory from them this week, but next week we're going to actually run down their schedule, and I'm going to see if you guys both agree to seeing a undefeated regular season for the Kansas City Chiefs, because I think I've mapped it out, and I think they're favorite the rest of the way.
Pretty close.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe the season's half over?
Gee, where did time
It seems like we just started, and here we are. I on TV last night, they're talking about the draft.
Jesus.
And I'm saying, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no. Here, so the actually perfect dovetail here in regards to where we actually are in the college football season. And yeah, we're about halfway. You would think November. No. We're entering bowl season. No. Ladies and gentlemen, the championship game is on January 20th this year. Why? 12 teams are going to be in the playoffs. And so, I'd like to talk about this for just a little bit. Obviously, we know that the NCAA College Football Playoff introduced a expanded 12-team format. Yeah, just for a quick refresher, here's how it works, right? We've got the selection and seeding. 12 teams are going to include the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, along with the 7 highest-ranked teams that didn't win their conferences. Top 4 conference champions are going to earn first-round byes, advancing directly to the quarterfinals. First round, teams seeded 5 through 12 are going to compete in first-round games on the higher-seeded team's home field. Matchups 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, 8-9. Quarterfinals and semis, they're going to occur in the designated New Year's 6 bowl games, Fiesta Peach Rose, Sugar Bowls, semifinals, Cotton and Orange on a rotating basis. National championship, as I said, January 20th in Atlanta. So, unbeaten Oregon is the number 1 team in the first rankings released on Tuesday. Ducks are followed by Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, and Texas in the top 5. Still keep thinking about that Miami game against Virginia Tech that they I won't go there. Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Boise State round out the top 12, which would compete in the newly expanded playoff at season's end. Randy, I mentioned at the top of the show, outrage, injustice.
Well, and again, you got to look at Oregon right now, who, again, I think their overall play and the talent level on offense is second to none.
Okay.
I still think Georgia's going to be there when it's all said and done. Again, you've got to, if you go by previous years, and again, I'm the big advocate that I don't want to say a minute, but the SEC always has a team in it. So
yeah.
From a standpoint of looking ahead to this year and looking, even getting down to the semifinals, I mean, don't be shocked if you don't have 2, if not 3 SEC teams in it.
SEC and Big Ten each had 4 teams in the top 12. Undefeated BYU is the lone Big 12 program in the top 12. Unbeaten Miami is the only ACC team in the top 12 after Clemson suffered its second loss last week to Louisville at home.
And BYU will falter. Mark my words in these next 3 to 4 weeks.
Stay tuned on that one.
Boise State, whose only defeat of the season was at Oregon on September 7th, was the highest-ranked team from a Group of 5 conference. Randy, you did mention Georgia. You talked a bit about Oregon. Got a price out there that you'd like to see perhaps make it to the semis right now?
Well, what is Oregon right now to get to the semifinals?
No, I'll give you a championship number. Give you plus 450.
Plus 450. Again, like I say, offensively, they can score with anybody.
Anybody.
So, question on defense, can this defense stop an SEC team? And again, when you look at pure talent, Georgia's got the pure talent to dominate the game.
Yeah.
So, again, you can't go by losing to an Alabama because I don't think it's fair. How would they do against everybody else? And you got to have them 1 or 2.
Nick, I want to see look, we talk a little bit about the top half. You find anyone currently in the college football rankings that maybe's in the latter part, maybe on the outside looking in, that maybe might not be getting a fair shake here? I don't know. Army's 8-0. They're 25th. I know they didn't play anybody, but
it's so convoluted. I mean, obviously the massive teams that are in the NCAA and how they make these rankings, and obviously with the BCS and up and down. So, somebody's always got to complain about something. I remember when it was just 1 and 2, and you had the undefeated team getting out, and the team with 1 loss gets in, and then now that we've gone to 12 teams, number 13, 14, they're up in arms.
There's no pleasing you.
Exactly. So I mean, do we just need to say screw this and go to like an NCAA tournament, bracket
basketball style, right?
Format where you just start at the beginning of the season and last man standing is who's champion.
Wait,
I
you look at Nick, if you look at the 8, 9, and 10 teams, to me they're overrated. I'm still not sold on Notre Dame. Again, when you look at an Alabama team that's 6-2 and number 11, and you look at Boise State with Ashton Jenney can play with anybody.
Hold on. Okay, all right. No. You just hit a nerve with me.
Okay.
Indiana's 9-0.
Yep.
They are going to be a double-digit favorite.
Yep.
Against Michigan.
Yep.
30-1 odds to win the championship.
Yep.
No love.
Yep.
Overrated.
And again, I'm not sold on.
All right, so who do you want? You want LSU in there again? Trot that old horse in?
No, well.
Yeah, there you go. You're going to, aren't you?
No.
Clemson?
I'm going to go on a limb right now. John Franklin and Penn State.
I
will not lose another game.
What about Colorado?
Who?
Colorado?
I'm not even talking about Colorado.
Penn State, 25-1.
Yes.
25-1.
Good bet in my mind. Again, Penn State on the defensive side of the ball, like they are every year, are loaded. This team's going to come around. And trust me, I think you got glimpses of it even last week. This team, if they could do something inside the red zone, they'd be unbeaten.
It's a big if.
I hope somehow I get an Indiana-Penn State playoff game because I am going to come out of retirement. I am going to bet you that game. I know it's not going to happen. It's impossible. There's too much that's going to happen between now and then.
Penn State had 2 fourth-down conversions where they were down inside the territory of Ohio State and didn't get a first down.
They didn't get it. No, they didn't.
So, again, let's change that, play another game, let's see who wins.
It doesn't matter.
Penn State, Nittany Lions, take it from me.
All right, let's move away from that. That was a little bit too much for this table. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have.
A quick question,
please.
Real quick. Is there any NIL deals with making it to the championship? Do they have those kind of contracts in there?
Do.
Yet?
Of course they do.
Of course.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, makes sense.
And if
I would want it.
I know for a fact that against the language, how they use it, SEC schools, and let's say there's 4 of them right now, have big money
I'm
if
sure.
they get to make it into the
playoff. Week number 9 came and went. Randy, absolutely fearless. You sprinkle as much salt and pepper into your bowl of soup as humanly possible. Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 plays from Randy. 4 and 3. 4 and 3.
And again, I got homered in that Dallas game. That game should have been over.
Right.
The Dallas Falcon game should have went way over.
Right, but it didn't.
It did.
No.
And again, these are the things that happen in betting, folks. You look at this and you say, that game's going over. How in the world does this game don't go over? I'm going to give you 2 reasons. Dak, and then he got hurt, And can somebody explain to me the running back situation with the Dallas Cowboys? Because they're horrible at running the ball.
Yeah, and I heard Elliott's not even traveling with the team this week.
No, he's disciplinarian boy.
Something.
It's okay. It's all right.
You look at that, and then, of course, the Bengals, I thought, to me, was the play of the week against the Raiders. Raiders scored late, or this game was actually humiliating. The Packers.
That was a win, laying 7, right?
And again, I didn't know Jordan Love was going to be hobbled that bad when he came out and said he was going to play. I thought, okay.
No, wait, no. You're giving out selections to our listeners.
Yes.
You must do the work.
I'm confident with that pick. I was confident with
No,
it. So
you
there's a couple
said-
of these. I could have been 6-1 instead of 4.
Could have been. But you know why? You forgot number 3.
What's number 3?
Because the bookmakers trap you, right? It's a trap number,
I'm
right?
glad
So
you
you
brought
never
that up. And
never
you're one
remember
of them.
this.
I'm glad you
I
brought
trap
that.
the
That's
public,
right.
right? Of course. Nick Schulte. Again, I mentioned before the show began. Treading water, 2-2. A loss with the Broncos and Texans. Wins with the Falcons and Commanders, laying 3.5. So going into week number 10, Nick, you are 18-14-1. Randy Wike, 24-21. It is time to break down week number 10. Gentlemen, I want to take a look at the timing of this one. Super early, of course. We do continue our foray into Europe. This game is being played in Germany. The Giants and Panthers. The Giants picking up 6.5 points here.
What game are they showing early in the morning?
Giants and Panthers.
I'll be sleeping in.
It's American football.
I'll be sleeping in. I'm not getting up.
A combined 4 wins.
I think that's an underplay if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Giants 6.5 in the total, 40.5. I am going to hold you both to a pick here. Nick, you first.
I like Giants -5.
No, you're not going to get that. I'm sorry. It's an alternate line. You're laying 6.5. So that means you're taking Panthers plus the points, aren't you?
No, I'm still going with the Giants.
Laying 6.5.
I'll take
All right,
6.5.
7 or more for Nick. Randy.
I'm sleeping in.
Okay. Pass is possible here. I'm not going to. You could have passed.
Sleeping in.
I know I forced you. You could have just simply said pass.
I
but
had
no.
that circled. I like him at -5. We'll see if we can
And
wait.
again, I just want to bring this up. You may have 2 coaches that aren't with these respective teams, even by year's end.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I'm sleeping in.
I'm sleeping.
Okay, you keep saying 5. You have to lay 6.5. Do you wish to pass?
I'm taking Giants -6.5.
Thank you. Let's look at some of these 10 o'clock games here at the Book of Baldini's. These lines are fresh and hot off the press. We're taking a look at the early start. These are 10 a.m. starts, the Bills and the Colts. Buffalo 4.5, the total 47.5. Vikings and Jaguars, a big red circle around this one as Trevor Lawrence is probably not going to play. At 2-7, probably Jacksonville thinking that maybe he shouldn't play. Minnesota is up to 7. This one opened 4.5. The total's 44. That's down from our opener as well. Steelers in Washington, possibly the game of the week. I'm going to probably just do a quick pause right here and have a look at both of these teams from a betting perspective. Randy, you first. Pittsburgh on the road in Washington, catching 2.5, down from the opener of 3. So 2.5 and 45.
Steelers are my underdog play this week. This is 2 great defenses right now in the NFL. I really like the Steelers. And again, I think they're getting their act together. Whether you like Russell Wilson, you don't like Russell Wilson, this team is starting to move the football. And with that defense, even on the road, because, again, I believe the Commanders are really going to have to score. You know, this game, I'm shocked that it's at 44.5, to be honest with you. So, again, from the trapping of the sportsbook
Yes, of course,
guys,
of course.
they're kind of telling you it's going to be a little more scoring than what you – in the past. I like the Steelers here. They're my underdog play of the week, actually, Rob. So
is that so? You want to play them on a money
plus
line?
2.5.
Or it's
Yes.
plus 2.5.
Yes, I'm taking the money line. Back to your question. Yes, money line. But I mean, they're plus 2.5 on the
He
board.
can't lose.
Randy Wike.
He can't lose.
Plus 2.5
No,
or money line.
I'm taking money line.
Can't
I say
wait.
it's plus
I
2.5
can't
on the
wait
board.
for this to come back and they actually lose by. All right. Anyways,
It's a
Nick.
trap if I lose.
I will do Steelers plus 2.5. Or 2.5.
Of course, timing is everything, right? But I want to give fresh data here. And the 3 is out there if you shop it. It wasn't here. It's 2.5. So Nick Schulte grabbing plus 2.5. Any thoughts on any other perspective from this game? Or you just simply like the position here for them? I know you want to grab the points here just in case things go haywire and sideways for you. But
Yeah. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I agree with Randy. I think or one would assume would be a little more lower scoring game. 44.5 does seem a little high. Yeah. But they're at home. Commanders are looking good on offense. But I think it comes down to defenses, and I think Steelers got to have a better defense, and Russell Wilson's looking pretty good.
Fair enough. The rest of our 10 o'clock slate, the Atlanta Falcons at 6-3 this year, 3.5, the total 46.5 in New Orleans. Denver and Kansas City, 8-0 Chiefs are 8-point favorites.
One, Rob, again, Broncos have proven to have a decent defense. And again, Chiefs coming off another emotional win, if you call it as such. 9.5 even at home. Is that too many? I know they're looking at the offensive side of the ball. Denver's hit and miss. But Bo Nix, can he have a big game? And can this defense keep it close? I have the Chiefs winning this game 24-17 and the Broncos covering the 9.5.
Okay.
The Broncos fooled me last week. I'm not making the same mistake twice.
The number is 8. So let me reset this game.
Is he trying to trap me here?
I feel like
I wanted to actually talk about the last two 10 o'clock games and come back to it, but since we're here,
you got a license for that trap?
Kansas City Chiefs are 8-point favorites, down from 9.5, as Denver is 5-4, and the total 41.5 is significantly lower than most of the games on the board. So, with Kansas City as an 8-point favorite, I heard them winning by 7 in the Randy Matic 3000.
Bo Nix, don't let me down.
So you're catching 8. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Nick Schulte.
I'm not touching this game. Broncos are one of those teams. I mean, they have what I feel like is a good defense, but sometimes they just show up or they don't show up. So Chiefs should win, cover heavily, but I'm saying I'm passing on this one.
I almost got the both of you going against each other, and that's all something I look forward to on every single episode, where I could just simply have you guys go against each other. However, okay, last two 10 o'clock games. And actually, Nick, we talked about this at the very top of the show. Niners and Tampa, of course, we talked. Christian McCaffrey looks like he's going to get some snaps, possibly some reps. San Francisco in Tampa opened 5.5 right now. The number fresh is 6, and the total 50. The last 10 o'clock game, New England and Chicago, the Bears, 6-39.
I want to make
Randy, go ahead.
The Tampa Bay Bucks are going to shock the 49ers.
Explain yourself.
Tampa Bay's coming off a loss, 30-24. They're going to be ready to play at home. And Baker Mayfield's going to have a big day. Mark my words. He's going to have a big game.
Who's he passing to?
He's going to be
having
a big
Well, I mean, I picked him up in my fantasy, so I love that.
Well,
but,
yeah,
I mean, that's the only weapon he's got.
20 catches.
This still is the NFL. Still is the NFL.
100% agree.
And when they're at home, and trust me, they had a lackluster performance, then played decent this last weekend. Could have easily, that outcome could have been a little different because, right at the end of the overtime, I really like Baker in this game. Mark my words. 6.5 is too many. If 49ers win, it's by a field goal. And I actually like Tampa Bay to win it.
San Francisco's a 6-point favorite. +6 is the play.
Again, and think about this, ladies and gentlemen. If you look back in past history, a West Coast team that has to go to the East Coast with the 3-hour time change has a real tough time.
Even coming off a bye week?
I don't care if it's on a bye week. The time change, evening to morning, morning to afternoon, it's a little different.
Hold that thought, Nick. I know you're. I'm seeing you're snapping right now. Just you're 30 seconds away. Well, one last question for you, since you seem to really like Baker Mayfield. Total number of completions thrown by Baker Mayfield is 23.5. Over or under?
I'm going to go over.
Nick, go ahead.
I just don't know what you see in that whole thing. We talked about it a little bit before you got here on the show today. If you look at the Niners' record coming off a bye week, I mean,
I know.
last year they didn't even lose a game after they came off their bye week. So, and you're getting CMC back allegedly, even though he's probably not going to get a bunch of touches.
And again, a win versus a cover in the NFL this year has been challenging. Mm-hmm. And again, going on the road, Niners should win this game, but will they cover the 6.5? And again, I just think it's tough right now. When you look at these, and of course we haven't talked about the bingo game, but when you go on the road, it's different than playing at home. And in the NFL, obviously it's next man up. So like you say, I know they have some injuries in regards to Tampa Bay, but it's next man up in the NFL, and you're at home. And Tampa Bay is crazy in love with that football team.
I would tend to agree with everything you just said, but I mean, you had a banged up Niners defense. They're missing some key players again, looks like this week, but they're coming off bye. They're going to be fresh. And if you look at Brock Purdy's record against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's pretty one-sided.
Very stellar, actually. But I do want a pick here from you. It is 6.
Niners 6 all day long.
I'm not shocked about that.
Can I do money line? I'm just kidding.
Do it. Of course you can. Hey, I'll give you like a. Yeah, I don't know.
How about this?
Like a quarter point worth.
I'm going to do an Niners alternate point spread minus 11.5.
You know what? I'm gonna make that worth something. I have to weigh it different than just getting you a point. I'm gonna give you 2 points worth if they cover this number.
Perfect.
So you're laying 6 and you're laying 11.5.
Yep.
So you're going to give it to him at 9.5? What am I missing there?
He's laying 11.5. He wants an alternate point spread.
I got 2 bets for my
first play. Okay. Of course, he's a 49ers fan.
Hopefully the Bucs don't win.
In the 1 o'clock slate, the Tennessee Titans are at the LA Chargers. The Chargers are 7.5 and 39. The Eagles and Cowboys at 1:25 p.m. The Eagles are started at 7 or up to 7.5. In Dallas, the total's 43. And the last 1:30 game is the Jets and Cardinals. The Jets, this one actually started with Arizona as a 1-point favorite, went to pick early this morning as of the recording that we're doing right now. The Jets are now a 1.5-point favorite and total 46.5. Eagles and Cowboys is a game that I wanted to just take a look at for a few minutes. Nick, any chance at seeing the 3-5 Cowboys cover this number?
Not going to happen. There's trouble in paradise. I mean, you just see the dissension within the team, and I think the Eagles blow them out.
Not a fan of Cooper Rush. I think Randy Wike might be a fan of Cooper Rush.
I'm not betting the Dallas Cowboys the rest of the season. Dak or Cooper Rush. This team has dissension. Eagles are playing very well right now. And not to get off the subject, but was Barkley's run...
That was insane.
I have never seen an NFL player jump over the top of somebody backwards.
I had we clearly don't have enough time for this show, but I thought that to put that exact play on like the offensive Mount Rushmore of NFL plays that I've ever seen.
Well, it was the best. Yeah. And again, some of these guys like the one-handed grabs and what have you, and the Odell Beckham catches, they practice those. You can't practice this.
No, I'm just curious. How did he know when to jump? Was he looking at the jumbotron?
Matrix.
Was it just
the Matrix? That's how he knew.
Pure
and
luck.
I was telling my son this last night. I would put this play in the NFL all-time plays. It was unbelievable because you can't practice it. It just has to happen. And unbelievable. This team right now, and I think the Eagles have a little motivation even going into Arlington. They could blow them off the field.
Now, the one interesting thing last week about the Eagles game, and maybe it's happened, I just haven't seen it, but that tush push got stopped twice. So I think there might be, because that's kind of their ace in the hole. That's the play they always go to. So if somebody's figured out a consistent way to stop it.
I think there's probably missed leg day this past week, and that's why you didn't get it through.
Is Brown out for the Eagles?
No.
Okay. So you noticed last week now, if he's healthy, Devontae Adams becomes a little bit more potent because you got a double team. They're double teaming. They're moving the backers out.
Or Devonta Smith.
Cover too. Yeah.
Got it.
And he I'm telling you, if they're healthy, this team is dangerous.
Are you laying 7.5 here from a betting perspective?
I am.
Actually, didn't think I was going to get that out of you, but here we are.
I'm not betting the Cowboys again all year. They've cost me 4 weeks.
Question was, will you bet against them? And now you are.
I am betting again.
Last game of our episode is the Lions and Texans on Sunday night. Detroit 7-1, a 3.5-point favorite. They can't seem to stop winning. The total 49. Houston seems to be looking like they're getting back some players. I think Nico Collins is coming back. So a addition along with Tank Dell for Stroud to throw to. Let's go, Randy, you first here. Houston catching 3.5 Sunday night.
Well, and again, back to the point that I made earlier with the Buccaneers. Texans are at home. Different element, and let's face it, that was a slugfest last week with Detroit and Green Bay. And even professional players have a letdown. Again, going on the road, I actually have the Texans as one of my underdog plays this week. And they're very tough at home. So, and again, that defense for the Texans, you're going to see a lot of blitzing against Goff. So don't be shocked if the Texans cover, if not win.
The Texans plus 3.5 for Randy here to round out his selections. Nick, a different thought or the same way?
3.5. I'd probably go Texans actually. At 3, I would take the Lions. It's kind of right
a
on the
razor-thin
edge.
margin for you. Okay, very good. So both of you will end up on the Texans plus 3.5 to end the slate. Nick's on the Giants, Steelers, Niners. Niners on an alternate line. I also made a little asterisk there, laying 11.5. Really likes the Niners. The Eagles 7.5, and then the Texans. Randy's taking the Steelers on the money line as one of his top dog plays of week number 10. The Broncos, Bucks. Baker Mayfield over 23.5 completions for all of you daily fantasy players. Eagles minus 7.5, and the Texans plus 3.5. That's all the time we have for this week's episode. Thanks again so much for tuning in. If you like what you see here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button there on YouTube. And if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcast, thank you so much for listening, whether it's on Spotify or otherwise. Enjoy the weekend ahead. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I am so happy right now. How long in the making was this to return? Meaning this incredible, awful?
4 years. Yeah, 2020.
How many of these are flying out the door, Randy, a day now?
Well, we've been open really since Saturday. You can't call Friday a real full day. So they've done 200. So they're doing
With really only 1 day of advertising?
Awful. It's back.
Thank you for listening to The Bookie and the Better Show. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Hit that subscribe button and join us.